There is a line in The Mandalorian and Grogu that has been stuck in my head ever since the credits rolled. The old protect the young, then the young protect the old. It is delivered after one of the most tense and emotional moments I have seen in Star Wars in years. And I genuinely wasn't sure Din Djarin was going to survive it. I'll get to that moment in full a little later, because it earns every bit of the emotion behind it. Just a quick heads up before we go any further. This is a full spoiler review. If you haven't seen the film yet, I'd highly recommend going in fresh and coming back for this video afterwards. For everyone else, let's get straight into it. So, where does The Mandalorian and Grogu fit in the wider Star Wars universe? The film is set in the New Republic era, picking up sometime after the events of Season 3 of The Mandalorian. For anyone new to the franchise, the New Republic is the government that replaced the Galactic Empire after the events of Return of the Jedi. And this is a galaxy that is still very much finding its feet. If you've been following the series from the beginning, you'll know exactly where Din and Grogu are in their journey. And this film picks that thread up in a really satisfying way. And very early in this film, Din Djarin is forced into a situation that no Mandalorian would ever want to find themselves in. I'll explain exactly what happens and why it matters in just a moment. Now, let's talk about the moments that really defined this movie for me. The first, and I think the most important, centers around Rotta the Hutt, the son of Jabba himself. Din and Grogu were tasked with delivering Rotta to the Hutt twins. But here's what makes the situation so compelling. Rotta pulls Din aside and tells him that he does not want to follow in his father's footsteps. He doesn't want any part of the criminal underworld. I think this is a brilliant piece of character writing. And because of that conversation, Din makes the call to protect him rather than hand him over. It is exactly the kind of morally complex decision that makes this franchise so compelling to follow. Now, the Hutt twins do not take this well. As punishment for Din's defiance, they force him to remove his helmet in front of everyone present. If you know anything about Mandalorian culture, you'll understand just how significant and how deeply humiliating that moment is. But it's what Grogu does next that I think represents the biggest moment of character growth in the entire film. And it leads directly into the scene I teased at the very beginning. Stick with me. Din Djarin has lived by the creed his entire life. That is a violation of everything he stands for. I thought it was one of the most powerful scenes in the film. And then there's Grogu. There is a moment where he saves Rotta, pulling him to safety, and in doing so, abandons the Hutt twins to their fate. Now, Grogu is not a character we typically associate with those kinds of hard, ruthless decisions. So this felt like genuine, meaningful character development. He is growing up. He is making the difficult calls. So, what did this film get right? 2 words. Action and comedy. The balance between the two is genuinely excellent throughout. There were moments that made me laugh and moments that had me absolutely on the edge of my seat. Sometimes within the same scene. But what really worked for me was the emotional stakes. And this brings me back to that moment I teased at the very beginning. There is a scene on Now Hutt, the home planet of the Hutts, where Din is poisoned by a dragon snake. He collapses, and I genuinely was not sure he was coming back. My heart was in my mouth. But Grogu saves him. He goes to some local fisherman, gets the antidote, and brings it back in time. And when Din recovers, he delivers the line, "The old protect the young, then the young protect the old." I'm not going to pretend that didn't get to me, because it absolutely did. It is such a beautiful payoff to everything their relationship has been building toward across 3 seasons and now this film. Now, I did say this was a fantastic film, but I do have one criticism. And it involves a character who I think was completely wasted. I'll get to that in just a second. Now, I always like to be honest in these reviews. My one criticism is this. There is a character called Djarin who gets arrested during the film. And I think that was a wasted opportunity. I would have loved to see him reappear during the climax. Maybe making one final attempt to capture Rotta, or causing chaos at exactly the wrong moment. Instead, once he's in custody, he effectively disappears from the story. It's not a major flaw by any means, but it did feel like a thread that was left untied. So, where does the Star Wars universe go from here? I think there are 2 really exciting possibilities. First, we could see Rotta working alongside the New Republic. Having a Hutt who genuinely wants to be on the right side of history is a fascinating concept, and I think there is a huge amount of storytelling potential in that direction. But the possibility that really excites me is this. At the end of the film, Grogu learns to pilot the Razor Crest. I believe that is setting up something significant. Maybe a sequel where Grogu is far more central to the mission. Maybe even one where he's the one in charge. The student becoming the protector. I'm eager to find out where Lucasfilm takes that. So, my overall verdict on The Mandalorian and Grogu? This is a fantastic film. It has great action, real emotional weight, and some genuinely brilliant moments for fans of the series. The relationship between Din and Grogu has never felt more meaningful. And the line, the old protect the young, then the young protect the old, is going to stay with me for a very long time. This is exactly the kind of Star Wars story we needed on the big screen. And if this review got you thinking about just how far Din and Grogu's relationship has come, I've got a short on my channel about the moment Luke Skywalker took Grogu away, and why that scene was absolutely heartbreaking. It ties in perfectly with everything we talked about today. I'll put it on the end screen for you. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss my coverage of whatever comes next for Din and Grogu. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.